Hi. So, today, much has conspired. It all feels very internal, though. Doesn't it always? Or, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You see, there's this, external speed that happens, right? And for example, a lot of events going on, a lot of changes in jobs, a lot of new news, if that makes sense. And the speed that is happening recently, yes, I might be in a state of flux when it comes to jobs, and this feels like a collective thing as well. I might be in a state of flux when it comes to jobs, when it comes to housing. I might be asking myself, all the big questions. Where am I going to live? Who are my people? Trying to discover myself. And these are being worked on. These are changing. But it's not happening quickly externally. And yet every single day, internally, it feels like so much has happened and I need time to digest. So that's been the vibe recently. I would ask if that makes sense, but maybe it's not supposed to. If it makes sense to somebody, it's meant to make sense. And if it doesn't, then thank you regardless for listening to me speaking from a place of honesty and self-exploration. I hope to create a world where we are all able to express ourselves honestly and from that inner place of curiosity. Yes, and wonder. I have written a lot. I've been writing a Substack, and that honesty is a theme. I think the big theme of that Substack specifically, and I guess not to spoil too much, but I'll share a little bit. Showing up honestly, especially when you perceive it will make other people uncomfortable. And you know what? Heck, I'm not going to save my cards anymore. We talked about this last time. You can check out my last video if you're interested. But I am kind of responding to Florence Given. And actually, I was writing for myself about how a recruiter contacted me. And this was for a job that I didn't really want. It was a lovely way to start my morning, being awoken by a phone call for a job I didn't really want. But because there is a part of me that wants to know that curiosity I was talking about, I think it can be tricky to navigate the difference between anxiety and curiosity. I knew from the moment that I heard that this recruiter was contacting me that I didn't want the job, but I hung on anyways. Groggy as I was, I gave a lot of half-truths and run-on sentences, and it was kind of humorous because it's like letting people down gently. I am so tired of it. I am so tired of it. And saying that makes me feel like a bad person. But I'm so tired of letting people down gently. I want to be told exactly how things are, exactly what people think. I want to hear people expressing themselves honestly. So when I do not do that for myself, when I hold back, it feels so bad. It feels so bad. And it sets off my whole nervous system. And nobody else understands that but me. I should say, not to say that nobody else understands what I am experiencing, but, well, yes, exactly to say that. Literally nobody else understands what you are experiencing than you. If you are acting in a way that is dysregulating your nervous system, you are the only person who knows that, who feels that. And yeah, people might be able to pick up on vibes, and you might be able to sense when somebody else is feeling a little bit off. But when you are the one that is feeling off, that impacts you more than it impacts everybody else. So taking that time for yourself, taking that time, whatever it is, if it's hanging up, I don't know. Like, what would have happened had I hung up? Or just said, thanks, but I'm not looking for this. I'm not looking for this kind of work right now. Taking that time for yourself, making that decision, is actually respecting others' time too. And it's not a crazy concept. It just feels like we can get lost from it. We can get separated from ourselves. And in this process of trying to make our way back to ourselves, we can pick up a lot of other people's ideas, or we can try to analyze what we think other people's ideas are and kind of form a shell of a self on the journey to making it back. But none of that is necessary. Yourself is always going to be yourself. And we just... I'm going to be honest. When I hate the phrase, I'm going to be honest. I use it too frequently. I also dislike that I am criticizing myself actively right now. We are unwiring that. But I was just going to say that last thought that I finished, I'm not quite sure if I want to elaborate on that. So, I'm not going to. Because I have the freedom to not, and why would I throw more words out into the void that aren't true, that aren't well thought out? This is a part of why I like poetry, and also why I can get so hung up before I share things, because I want things to be succinct and clear and understandable. I want things to be effective and passionate, and that's a beautiful quality to have. But it can be a roadblock. So we do activities like this that actively break that apart. And this is kind of a form of therapy. It is fulfilling some kind of internal need for me, because I am drawn back to it every single day. Again, I would encourage you, if there is some need inside of you that you're scared to recognize or to bring to light, it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. You can take all the time you need to journal, to self-reflect, whatever it is for you to understand this and be ready to express it. But your time, if you need more time for creating, for example, because that's what's easy for me to speak on. It is up to you to make that time, and that's beautiful. You have the freedom to do so. We have restrictions in our lives and things that are out of our control, but if you are here right now, I hope that there is something that you can do to create that time for yourself. Even just being aware that it's a need and being all right with that, or being all right with that hunger that you have, making space for it internally, regardless of what your external circumstances are. Yeah, I have been reading and consuming a lot of knowledge recently, and I think that it is far easier to consume knowledge in this day and age than it is to share. And that is kind of funny because I grew up like hearing that, well, I grew up wanting to go to college. I grew up an academic. I grew up, exactly what the academy wanted me to be. The school that I went to growing up was literally called the academy. That's how we referred to it. But what is the purpose of putting all of this on the inside, if not to allow it to digest and energize you? Like, how wonderful is it that we have the desire to share? How wonderful is it that we have the desire to share? And how horrible is it that when we have energy, how horrible is it if we have energy and the desire to share and don't? And yet I think we do that quite frequently, and we are taught almost to do that, or expected to do that, or based on these identities we have picked up on our way back to ourself, we perform instead of allowing ourselves to share ourselves. We will now take a moment to take a deep breath, because that is exactly what I need right now. And I think that it's important to create what you need in the world. You can hold it for just a moment. And let it out. This is so much fun. And every time I do this, I slowly feel the anxiety beginning to fade away about, am I speaking too quickly? Am I speaking too slowly? Is this important? I think I talked earlier about how this is kind of like therapy, but this process is the same thing that happens when I start anything new, therapy being one of them, where I don't know if it's going to work at first. There's just something that draws me towards it. It just feels like it's going to fulfill a need. And over time, you start to see more and more how it does. And I've been thinking a lot about want. I think that want comes first, and then we try to rationalize it. We try to measure it as good or bad. And this is something that we do have control over, that I have control over in my own mind. But maybe like that want that I experience, that desire that I experience is actually directing me towards the exact medicine that my mind, heart, soul, body, various aspects of my life need at that time. Can you open yourself up to trust that? I don't know. Let's see what the time looks like. And we're done. I don't know if I went over or not, but isn't that beautiful? Ooh. I had such a great time talking with you today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, or sooner if we're feeling like it. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and yeah, that is all. Love you lots.